Good morning, kids, and welcome to part 2 of Keith Busher's project, building the skull sconces. So here I have, I'm just going to jump right into it a little bit. Here I have one of the plastic skulls that I use. It's going to be a little bit easier to show you on this one. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques today that I do when I make teeth. You can choose which one works best for you. It all depends on kind of how messed up I want the teeth to be. If I just kind of want them to be regular, I'll do it one way. If I want them to be a little more jagged and all over the place, then I'll do it another way. You kind of choose what you want to do and what you like to do, and go from there. I was going to show you. Always have tons of options when it comes to tools. I mean, I've been self-taught sculpting for about 5 years, so this is a collection of things that worked, things that didn't work, but I never throw anything away. Just because it's all gummed up and messy doesn't necessarily mean that it's garbage, because sometimes that texture is great for adding like scar tissue or other issues that might be going on with the skin that you're trying to create. So I don't know, it's up to you, but I don't throw anything away. So this is a skull, and I'm going to show you kind of two different options of how I make teeth, as I said before. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So this is teeth I made for another project. So I took a whole bunch of little pieces of clay and I molded them into little tiny teeth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the clay, which I'm mixing right here. Like I said, it's a 2-part epoxy. So you basically take one part which is gray, one part which is your color. You smush them together, equal parts. Smush them together till it's one consistent color, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. I'm using pink because it's good for gums. If we get interrupted, I'm sorry, my cat just jumped into my lap conveniently. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this in. Sorry, make a little snake, a little clay snake. And I just press it in. The good thing about this Aves epoxy sculpt clay is that it comes with its own adhesive in it. So it's self-drying, you don't need to bake it. But the other part is that it will stick to most surfaces like ceramics and those sorts of things. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to glue it on. It will, it won't stick great, but it does stick really good. But the more that you kind of wrap it around something, it becomes solid. So that's a better choice when you're using it on something glossy, like a ceramic piece that has a lot of gloss to it. You'll want to make sure you kind of get around it to a point where you're kind of cupping it, and that way it won't break off or stretch or anything like that. Okay, so I added the little gums here. These, like I said, this is two different options. I'm going to try and keep these somewhat shorter because it took me like an hour to upload the video yesterday. So I'm going to dump out the little teeth. These teeth I built for a different project, so they might be a little bit too big for this one. But then you can just press them right in to the gums. Like I said, this is more if you want something a little more random, jagged. Something you can do is you can stick it in and then pull it back out again, and it gives the illusion that there was a tooth there, but it fell out. Another tooth. And because it has an adhesive, sorry, I got the shakes. Because it has an adhesive in it, these will just set in there and almost like glue themselves in. So I'll do a couple more little teeth here. But you see, by pushing them in, you kind of get a bit of that gum line already. So it's kind of a neat effect. Now we're going to have to do something to hide the teeth behind these teeth, but that's alright too. So this will be more like a goblin or an ogre or some kind of deformed creature. Lots of tools. You can use tools to push them in, tweezers, that sort of thing. Sorry if I'm kind of out of the camera. I'm kind of looking over the camera to see what I'm doing. I'm not used to looking through the camera. So that's one option of making some crazy messed up teeth. Yeah. So you kind of get the gist of it. Now, like I said, this stuff takes a while to kind of go rock hard. I'll show you tomorrow kind of what this finally looks like. Oh yeah, not quite done yet. So let's we'll take some of the gums out. We don't really need it anymore. Okay. Now I'll take some little tool, something like this one here, something that's got, and what I'll do is where the gums are between the teeth, I'll push up a little bit, right? And what that does is it gives you that impression that the tooth goes down further into the gums, but it also kind of gives you that divider between teeth. So if you ever look at your own teeth, I'm sure you do when you're brushing your teeth and stuff, you see kind of those little things. And, you know, it's a little bit textured. It's not perfect. So you can throw in some little lines in there. Holy shaky today. Too much coffee or something. Alright, so you kind of get this. And then when we paint it, we're going to do like a darker and then dry brush like a lighter pink over top of it, which makes it look more gummy, more realistic gums and stuff, and we'll add some staining to the teeth and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the one way that I do teeth. You don't have to be this OCD about stuff. I'm a little bit OCD about stuff. I like to, a lot of the times I'll do teeth on pieces that you'd never even see the teeth. I end up putting lips over top of and everything. You may be looking at stuff and saying, oh, well, that's kind of cheating, just using a cheap plastic skull to use as your base. But it is and it isn't. I sort of, so if I'm making something original that's my own, if I'm making a creature that has its own, I guess I'm not making this video shorter because I'm already at 8.5 minutes, but if I'm making a creature that's my own and it's got a unique skull or a different shaped head on it, then for me, oftentimes, all the time, I have to make a skull that fits that creature. So if you were to take one of my sculptures, one of my pieces, and actually shave off the face, like sand off the face and everything, you would see I actually built a little skull underneath with teeth. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be look exactly like a skull. You just basically want the shape of the face that you're going to put on. I always try and build a structure first and then build the face on top of it. So here you see the two different colors of clay. I'm going to use white on this next one to show you how it works. We mix it together. So even if I'm not using a plastic skull, I build the skull myself. The plastic skull just kind of helps me move it along quicker a little bit. If I can get a plastic skull or something that works, is similar to the size that I need it to be, that will go with the piece that I'm building, then I'll use a plastic skull. If that's not an option, or the skull needs to be irregular or shaped weird, then I'll build the skull. I do nutcrackers at Christmas time, modified nutcrackers, and that's just a big wooden ball, and that can, it creates a problem because when you're trying to build something realistic looking and you're starting with just basically a giant wooden ball, it doesn't look right. Like, the features aren't there, the cheekbones aren't there. You end up protruding so much that it doesn't look realistic. Not to me, anyway. So I will sand and carve into the skull. I'll use like a router. I'll show you in other tutorials and stuff like that, but I'll use like a router or a Dremel or a die grinder or something to kind of get the basic shape of a skull and eye sockets and where everything's going to go, so that when you put the clay on, it doesn't look like you just put a bunch of clay on a big wood ball. Okay, so I mixed the white and gray clay. It looks like it's fairly well mixed. Like I said, it's kind of like plasticine at this moment. It's a little bit cakey, but that's okay. So, my other option for making teeth, I probably should have pulled out all the tools I need at the beginning, is I need this tool here, and my knife, and that same gum tool. I'll do the same thing with the gum so you kind of understand how that works. I'll use this one for that. You can, whatever works for you. This might even be a little bit too large for the project that I'm doing, so it might have been, you can build your own tools if you have wire and a stick. You know, a lot of the times I'll build stuff that I need because I can't find it in stores or whatever. Okay, so I'm breaking off a little piece of this clay, rolling it into a little tiny clay snack. Okay, and I'm going to take the project that I was working on yesterday. So remember yesterday, I put the clay on the necks, and then I put the clay on the back of the head. So now it's been like 12 hours. Oh, they're pretty solid on there. This is actually twisted in two pieces, so it looks like it's breaking, but it's actually just the sconce coming apart. So you can adjust it. So I'm going to put the clay on the teeth right on over top of here. Now, generally, most people have an overbite. So if you've already done your bottom teeth, and we're going to do top teeth so that you can kind of see the difference here. We're going to press that in, and we're going to go over top of the bottom teeth just a little tiny bit so that you can kind of get a sense. If you're doing something that's smiling or you're doing something that's grinning, people's instinct is to try and make the teeth go up on the side of the face, like up into this cheekbone and up here. But your teeth don't actually do that, keep in mind. It took me a few trial and errors before I figured that out myself. But if you think about it, if you smile, your teeth don't shift and move up into your cheeks. They stay straight. So even if you're doing a smile or anything like that, that comes from doing the lips and shaping the face. It's not the teeth. The teeth should always be relatively straight and standard. Here's your nose, right? So that's going to be the center of your face. So your two teeth should kind of go on the opposite sides. So I'll use this part, and I will start by pressing those in. And it's up to you if you want to shape different teeth. We'll still make these look good though. So I'm just going to go along. And that basically gives me the separation of the teeth, right? Now, your teeth go underneath your gum line. So what you want to do here is push that little bit up and into your gum line. If you are not a patient person, this is not the video for you. There is a lot of, like I said, I'm OCD. You don't have to be this nuts about it, but people have asked me how I do what I do, so I'm showing you my techniques. And this is why it takes me like a week to finish a project. This is why I charge more money than some people do when they ask me why I charge so much. It's because I do little things like this. Okay, so the teeth are pushed up into the gums, like I said. Then you want to, depending on where you want to go, I'll use a knife to give the teeth a little bit of separation here. Oh, so shaky. Why am I so shaky today? This is embarrassing. Okay, so that kind of separates the teeth a little bit. We're gonna fix that. Okay, and then push those corners up because your teeth don't do that. Right. All right. Sorry that I'm not talking you through this. Okay. Now it's up to you again how much you want to do. If you want to add a little bit of texture to your teeth. Texture helps when you're doing washes and dry brushes later. It may not look great when you first do it, but you know, nothing is perfect. And when we do washes and dry brushes, it'll set color in. It'll give the teeth a little bit more depth. And then we add a glaze onto it and everything, and it looks great. Again, OCD, up to you how much detail you want to put in, how fine of a project you're building. Sometimes it's too small to put details in, or even just trying to put cracks and creases and things. It's disproportionate, right? Like if you're using a very small figurine and you're trying to put cracks in the teeth, the cracks would be, you know, if you relate it, the cracks would end up being like a centimeter wide, which would not look right on people, okay? So again, we're just gonna kind of give the gums a bit of proportion and depth. Right, your gums. A lot of this will get covered by lips, so don't worry if it kind of looks bad. You can always fix that later. Cheeks will go over there. You're just kind of trying to give it a little bit of texture in case people are really looking and they want to know that you didn't cut corners. Okay, so basically there it is. Sorry, I'll get my arm out of the light so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Still not great, but so as you can see, I've added in new teeth, a little bit more texture. It'll give me the ability to add shadow and staining and washes and stuff, which will make it really pop and really look cool. Sorry, excuse me. I wish I had a piece that I could show you, but I am not prepared for my video today. Anyway, that's that. So that's teeth. So now I don't want to add like lips or anything onto any of this, because if I did that, then I'm going to end up smushing those teeth in with my thumb, and I'm going to do a bunch of damage to the stuff that I just finished doing. So this is where I said having multiple projects on the go works. I'll probably just start working on the bottom skull and maybe the top skull for a little bit, just so I'm not touching this one. I have to go to work in like 2 hours. Boo. So that will give this piece enough time to dry, and then tomorrow hopefully I can come in here again in the morning and do a little bit more and show you guys kind of how we're coming along. Alright, thanks very much for watching. Sorry about the length of this video. Sorry that it's twice as long as the last one when I said I was going to make them shorter. Thank you for all your comments. If there's anything where I'm going too fast, if there's anything where you are like, I don't get it, or can you go back, can you explain this, please leave it in the comments and let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. You can always PM me, private message me, if you have any questions relating to certain things. I am no expert. I am not trained. I didn't go to school or anything. I'm all self-taught, but I can teach you, I can try and help you out by teaching you little tricks that I've learned. And if I don't know, then I will help you brainstorm a solution as to what we can do. So I'll finish with a shot of the two different skulls with the different teeth, so you can kind of get an idea of what the two of them look like. Pretty cool. Alright, thanks again for watching, and thanks for commenting on my last video. Hope you enjoy. Have a great day.